What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse Peacemaker from the Suicide Squad. And so here we have the Mcfarlane Peacemaker pose and out of the packaging. Before we have a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. Peacemaker does come with his big broadsword, which does fit in either of his hands nicely. He does come with the arms of the King Shark Build-A-Figure, which we'll have a better look at when he's all put together, and then he does get the Mcfarlane stand. Other than that, Peacemaker doesn't come with his Peacemaker, which is unfortunate. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the no guns policy. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a look at my favorite, yet least favorite figure from this wave. And so here we have a look at Peacemaker, which, like I did say, he is my favorite, yet least favorite figure from this wave. Now let's actually get into that. In terms of detail, I love it. I love the detailing on this figure. I think they did a really good job of capturing the look of Peacemaker. Now, it's not a 100% likeness to John Cena, but as you can see or not see, the face sculpt does look good. I do like it. The chin is perfect. It's not like the Mattel figures we've been having to look at where they give him a bazooka chin. This chin works for John Cena. Now, I think they could have done a little bit more for it, but like I said, it does look like John Cena from certain angles, so I guess that's where it does count. Now, the helmet on him does look really nice. I really would have liked to see them do a very nice chrome finish on it, but as it stands, we have this metallic paint that they did use. I might go in and hit this with a coat of clear coat of high gloss, I should say, and just really make that thing shine, but I don't know yet. We'll find out. But I do like the fact that his blue eyes peek through the mask nicely. So yeah, really love this figure's head sculpt. Now, looking at the figure's torso, they did another fantastic job with his suit. I really do like Peacemaker's emblem right here, along with the coloration of him. I love the reds and the blues. They look really good. I especially love his little shoulder guards right here. Well, they're not really shoulder guards, but they're pieces of his costume that look really nice. One thing that really stands out nicely is the texturing on his, well, everything. There's a lot of texture on his suit, which I really love when Mcfarlane does this really nice texture. I don't know what it is about companies that do texturing on undersuits and suits like this. It just brings out so much more than just having it smooth. And as you can see, it really does help the figure a lot. So really good sculpt work here, and the musculature on the figure is perfect. It really does look like a really buff guy underneath the suit, which John Cena is pretty shredded. Good effort by Mattel, or not Mattel, by Mcfarlane. Mattel wishes they could have made a DC figure this good. But yeah, loving the sculpt work on the seams right here. I do like how the seams all seem to line up perfectly. The collar works for the figure and is nicely painted. I do like his shoulders, how they also continue those same seam lines flawlessly. And then we do get these blue bands right here on his shirt. We do have some blue padding right here, which is going to be seen later on in his costume, but we'll get to that later. One thing I'm never crazy of is when supervillains and superheroes have bare skin, especially on their arms. Those are very vital areas that you would expect they would have some kind of armor on them, some padding. Not John Cena here. No, sir. John Cena has his arms exposed. And then we do have his blue gloves, which look really nice. And I love the fact that the blues actually match. I think if it's not molded, they did a fantastic job of matching those blues. They almost look like they're the same color. I know they're not, but they look like they're the same color. They might actually be the same color because they're paint, but I don't know. So having a look at the rest of his outfit, the belt does seem to have some smooth parts to it, but that's okay because it still has a little bit of texturing throughout it. So really good job by Mcfarlane there. You can see that his pants do have that same texture. We have some seams and some panel lining, and then we do have that same padding that we saw on his shirt come down his pants. It does look like that the padding should have continued right here. I don't know why they didn't continue the paintwork here. That's one thing that does bother me, is that this is supposed to be blue right here, but it's still the beige for his pants. So yeah, I wish that was painted blue, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Really like the detailing on it. The line work is phenomenal. And I just think they did a good job with the look of the figure. Now, this is one part where I don't like the figure. They did a really good job sculpting his boots up until this point. His boots look phenomenal. The padding on it looks good. The buckle is good. I could use some paint, but that's been the same story for every figure so far. The one thing I can't stand about this figure, the ball joints. Yeah, these ball joints stick out terribly. Now, his wrists aren't too bad. I can live with that. Those, no, that's really bad. Especially when we got to the Polka Dot Man and Bloodsport, who had fantastic ball joints, and they were sculpted nicely and hidden well. These ones just aren't that good, to be quite honest. And you're going to see that throughout this video. The articulation is where I'm kind of not a fan of. So yeah, I really do like that, but not a fan of how they did that. So yeah, that's probably my one and only gripe about the aesthetic of the figure so far. We'll get into the articulation in a little bit, but before we do that, let's actually get a quick comparison between Peacemaker and other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have Peacemaker posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Peacemaker posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. And finally, here we do have Peacemaker posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to Peacemaker's articulation, where I think this figure falters just a little bit. So in terms of head articulation, really good head sculpt. A really good head articulation. Does look up and down exceptionally well. Head tilt works perfect, so we get all the range of movement in his head. Left and right rotation, no problem. His butterfly joint doesn't really work all too well, and unlike the other figures, there's no cap right here, so whatever's hindering it is a plastic that the shoulder is actually wrapped around. So yeah, that is unfortunate. It doesn't really pivot up and down either, so arms do go out to the side about that far, go all the way around. I think the arms are the worst arms I have ever seen on a modern day figure, and let's actually explain that. So in terms of bicep swivel, it's a simple cut. Not the fan of the simple cut. What they should have done is sculpt like that V right here and then just given him the flesh right there. But yeah, that cut is atrocious. Oh no, but that is not the only offense this figure suffers from. He does have a double jointed elbow, but it is the ugliest double jointed elbow I have ever seen. Somebody explain that to me. Why is his arm chopped up the way it is? That is terrible. He gets good range, but just look at how bad that elbow articulation is. I would have just preferred a single joint if I knew it was going to be that atrocious. And it's not just one side, it's both sides. Look at that. That's not a normal cut. That looks like his arm is detached from his body. That is terrible. Absolutely atrocious. And normally I let things like that slide. No, we can't let that slide. That's hideous. Ball joint in the wrist does go up and down. Does go in and out and then rotates on that pin. He does have another ball joint. Well, I think he actually has a double ball joint. We have a ball joint up here in his upper torso, and then we have a lower ball joint. As you can see, it does flex and give him about that much range. Going back, he has better range. So back to the Mcfarlane standard of having terrible crunches, but it does work. It does pivot side to side, and he rotates nicely. Legs do kick forward to about there, kick back, out to the side, no problem. Not the best we've seen, but it's still exceptional. He has somewhat of a thigh swivel, so we do get a little bit of swivel right there. Double knee, goes back to about there. At least the knee isn't as bad as the elbow, I'll give it that. it could have been much worse. Could have been worse. He actually has the best ankle articulation so far out of the bunch. You can see it does move up and down nicely. We do have that rotation, which does allow forward facing, or true rocker ankle. So up and down. Then we do have forward facing pin, and then we have a toe hinge. So overall, Peacemaker here, I was about to say John Cena. Peacemaker here has some pretty good articulation, with the exception of the arms. I think the arms are the worst part I have ever seen on a modern day figure. But with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a little break, get them posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Mcfarlane Peacemaker pose for my final thoughts, and overall, I really like this figure. There's really a lot of things to like about this figure, but there's a lot of things not to like about this figure, especially the way they cut this figure up. What was Mcfarlane thinking when they cut those elbows the way they did? It's terrible. Very, very bad decision making the elbows the way they did. I would say this is on the top 10 worst articulated choices of all time. Those elbows are atrocious. Other than that, the figure is standout. I really like the accessories he comes with. Even though he doesn't come with his Peacemaker, I think the sword is a really nice accessory, and it's something that I can see Peacemaker actually using outside of, you know, his standard piece. But overall, I like the way he is. I think that if they were to include his weapon of choice, that would have been much better. But I don't know why Warner Brothers has this no gun policy on figures. I don't quite understand what the entire no gun policy is trying to get through, other than making it worse for collectors because we don't get accurate figures. Other than that, I still think Peacemaker here is a fantastic inclusion to your Multiverse collection, and he'll look great right along all your DCEU figures. Peacemaker here is going to run you about $25, and I do know Target has an unhelmeted version of Peacemaker, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't think the face really does look like John Cena. I think they missed the mark on that. But this, I think there's a superior version. I mean, if you want a Peacemaker in your collection, this one's going to be easier to find, because not only is he available at Target, he's available at Walmart, Walgreens, online retailers such as Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, and Entertainment Earth, and he will run you about $25. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other DC Mcfarlane Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you'd like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.